Wake up with a smile, and then in a while, come to lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies.
Welcome to the Libby Show, Lunch with the Ladies.
On this episode, we meet Super Libby, award-winning actress, director, producer, Sarah Megan Thomas, whose films are made by women to inspire women. And that's why she's a Super Libby. We'll hear all about the making of A Call to Spy, which has been called the hidden figures of World War II, and how she was determined to get a PG-13 rating so young women and young men could watch the movie. She'll talk about the inspiration behind the films A Call to Spy, Backwards with James Van Der Beek, and Equity with Anna Gunn. We'll hear about how she likes to stay healthy and her secret shake recipe. So, let's get talking.
We're desperate for information about France. Churchill has asked us to create a secret army of spies.
This is a rudimentary operation.
Women will be more inconspicuous.
Make sure they're pretty.
For you or for the Germans? I don't believe we've met.
Virginia Hall.
We could set her up as a journalist.
Good Lord, Vera, she has a wooden leg.
Would you suspect this girl's a spy? Rumor has it you are the best wireless operator in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force.
Signaling is like music, there is a rhythm to it. I'm a pacifist, and they are teaching us to kill. They're training us to survive.
Today's guest, we have Sarah Megan Thomas. Beth, would you like to tell us about her?
I would be delighted. Thank you. Sarah Megan Thomas is an award-winning actress, writer, and producer, best known for creating complex roles for women. And she does all of this as a mother of young children, which we know is not easy. For her latest film, A Call to Spy, Sarah wrote the original screenplay, produced, and plays legendary American spy Virginia Hall. The World War II feature has won numerous awards, including an Anti-Defamation League Award and several Audience Choice Awards. The BBC lauded it as the hidden figures of the spy world. Her previous feature was the groundbreaking film Equity, in which she created the concept, co-wrote the story, produced, and starred. A first of its kind, Equity is a female-driven Wall Street thriller which premiered at Sundance Film Festival. Sarah also starred in the romance drama Backwards, opposite Dawson Creek favorite James Van Der Beek.
So happy to have you on the show today, Sarah. Ileana, would you like to do the first question?
I would love to. So Sarah, can you tell us, when did you want to pursue this path, and what training did you do? What preparation did you do?
Yeah, pretty much ever since I was born, I wanted to be an actress. And when I was really young, I told my parents, and they were kind of like, no, because, well, they're two lawyers, and they were like, yeah, that's a nice passion. And they put me in acting camp and, taught me to play the piano. But as I started to get older, they realized I was serious about it and have been really supportive ever since. And I went to Williams College and was a theater major. And then I went to drama school in London for a graduate degree.
And then I know I know you did Backwards and then jump into when I met you. And that was for the movie Equity, which I was introduced to by a mutual friend of ours, Candy Strait, wonderful dynamo activist, investment banker herself. For the movie Equity, which is about female investment banking, I came on as a producer for this. I thought this was unique. It's about time. We're showing more things with women, and especially in the banking industry. This movie went to Sundance, got bought by Sony Pictures Classics. Tell me how this film came to be.
Yeah, so my mission kind of as a creator, filmmaker, has always been to tell stories about women who are complex but also good at their jobs in commercial genres in kind of the independent film world. So what do I mean by that? So my first film, Backwards, was the first female-driven rowing film, and that was kind of a sports film and women, but we'd never seen the competitive world of rowing. And so with Equity, when I was looking for what I wanted to do next, I love Wall Street films, all of them, Margin Call, Wolf of Wall Street, etc. But I'd never really seen any of the women that I knew in New York who work on Wall Street in these movies. And full disclosure, my husband works on Wall Street, and all of his friends who are women, those people don't exist in the movies. And so I wanted to create something that was a little more gritty and real and show these incredible women. And when I Googled like female-driven Wall Street movie, and I sat on Google for a long time, and I was like, what do you mean no one's ever done? Like, what? And so that was kind of that, almost in my life, that moment was like, this movie has to be made. And I've only had that moment once where I knew right away that this was a film that, you know, would have a commercial appeal.
And it did. And it was, there were females, a female director Mira, who went on to produce great things, a wonderful writer, Amy Fox, who does The Conners. And if you saw the team behind the producers, it was just a whole slew of women. It was just so wonderful, such a great project. So
well, and actually women financed that movie largely. And I think that's really cool too. They really stepped up to the plate and gave us the ability to make it.
Yeah. And you can find that movie streaming everywhere. Beth, do you have a question for Sarah?
I do, Sarah. You're highlighting these women. It's so interesting. And then you move on to your next project, which is A Call to Spy, which I watched together with my husband and grown son and daughter, and we all loved it. And we all said, how did we never hear about this before? And that's what you were just saying. Did you have an interest in this period? Did you have to research it a great deal? Can you tell us?
Yeah, this one took a long time, and I did have to research it. In fact, I was able to get the spy files on all these real women, the real ones, and read them. So that was fascinating, and speak with family members, etc. But to back up, the genesis for this one, I just went back to kind of my staple of what story about women hasn't been told in the spy genre. I knew I wanted, and this goes back to like, I love James Bond movies, but when women are involved, even when they're the leads, like Charlotte Gray, it tends to be more of a romance. And by the way, I love a good romance. So don't get me wrong, I love a good romance, and really want to do one of those one day. But for this film, it was like, where is the story about these spies being good at their job? So that was kind of the idea. And then I studied World War II extensively in college. I'd done a whole winter term on it. So I knew about the SOE and that there were these spies who worked in France. And when I just, again, started doing the research, I came across these three women, Virginia Hall, Noor Nayat Khan, and Farah Atkins, who were firsts in their respective fields. And I thought, how interesting to kind of put them together in time and space like Hidden Figures do, and show a film about female pioneers in the World War II spy world.
And I always, even when I read the script, I'm like, this is like Hidden Figures, and it really did seem like that. And it's just a story that needs to be told. And something I also want to say about your film, Sarah, is that there are films that there's nothing in it that I cringe, and you know I'm like a rom-com girl and I like dramas, but everything is presented, you know, and even though it's a war story, it's only what you need to see to tell the story. And that's what I really appreciate, that your movies can be seen by families.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because like two things on that. Like my first film, Backwards, you know, the real inspiration for that was kind of Bend It Like Beckham, you know, this film that I grew up with, where, you know, it's about girls in sports and it's fun and there's romance, but it's not too gritty. There's not epic love scenes. There's like a kiss, I think. And, you know, it was really important to me that film is PG, because if you actually look at movies online, there are very few PG movies. And so where are the movies for that audience? And then with A Call to Spy, this is a fun story, actually. The guy from the board who does the ratings, which was done virtually this time, called me up and he said, so we have a tie and we're between an R and a PG-13 in terms of the rating for the film, and that was because of, I think, not violence actually, but I think the language. And anyway, I said to him, well, when you go back and speak with your team, you know, we went to extraordinary effort to not show anything graphic, but we had to make it real. But it is so important. These women are not in our history books. And I made this film so that women and men can be educated about these women. And if it's R, that will prevent an entire generation from seeing it right now. And so ultimately they did give us the PG-13 rating.
I'm glad they did, because I think that part of the population that needs to see it are these young women, and to say, what did women contribute? What did we do? What can we do?
Well, it's also hugely timely right now, unfortunately, just this concept of what will we all do if our lives were on the line, or if there's anything we believed in. These are women who they knew they had a 50-50 chance of survival or worse when they went in, and they actually didn't have to. They weren't fighting for their own country immediately, so to speak. And they said, sign me up. And they did it for the greater good. And I think that that's a wonderful lesson, you know, we could all maybe learn a little more of. I can, at least.
Sure.
Good for you for fighting for that rating, because it really makes a difference.
Yeah,
It does.
Eliana, do you have a question for Sarah?
I do have another question. So what's one of your biggest challenges? I know that you've got young children, so, you know, filming and shooting with young children. Tell us, what are some of the biggest challenges?
Well, I mean, I wish you had all week. I could just go on. And it's not just me. I mean, I think, you know, anyone would tell you independent filmmaking is really challenging, because you never have the money you need to solve the problems. So you have to sometimes solve them in other creative ways, and sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. I'll give you a positive, again, another just fun example. On this last film called A Spy, you know, the Lysander plane is the planes that they historically brought these spies in and dropped them off on. And so we have a scene where we need a plane drop. And this is a very low budget film by Hollywood standards. And so I found a Lysander plane in Canada. We worked out the deal. They were going to fly it to our Pennsylvania location. Well, fast forward, and there's only one in all of North America. So it's not like you can choose. And the guy has sold the plane. And so he doesn't want to fly it here because he doesn't want the liability of anything happening. So we're in the middle of the shoot and we have no plane. So we just like punted it. We punted it to our Hungary unit in Budapest, and they didn't have Lysanders, but long story short, they had a single engine plane that was bright yellow, and they taped it literally with tape, and you can't tell the difference. So it worked out. It was just a big, like, you know.
It's about thinking creatively and saying, we've got to get it done, so how do we do it?
Yeah.
And now I know your mom is an attorney. She's still a practicing attorney, right?
She is.
Does she help out with the kids when you're filming?
No. My mom actually is the most amazing mom in the world.
I know she is. I've met her.
But she works still like 6 or 7 days a week. And my dad still works too, part-time. So we have wonderful, wonderful help. And then obviously they chip in on the weekends or where they're free, but
So Sarah, I hear you're a runner, which must have helped during the pandemic. What other healthy tips can you share with us?
I stole a healthy shake from Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow's site, which I have a couple days a week, which is this amazing frozen shake that tastes like chocolate, but it has like cherries and cauliflower and almond milk and all. So go to Goop and look up her cherry shake. I didn't create it. And then I'm a really big fan of also, I try meditation, but man, my mind doesn't let that happen. But I like yoga, and I like a hot bath with a book, you know, simple things, a walk, fresh air. I'm an outdoor, you need to get outside, you know, and just, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, all of those sound wonderful.
Yeah. I might try that smoothie as long as it still tastes like chocolate and I don't.
No, it really does.
Okay.
You would like, because you have, and you can actually, I have a secret that I'm going to tell you. I put a little coffee in it. I don't know that that's on the recipe. So it's actually edited, tweaked a little.
Okay. Well, coffee and chocolate seem to cover a lot of flavors that we don't care for. So we will try that. Messalina, do you have a question for Sarah?
Yes, Sarah, do you have any new projects coming up? Anything you'd like to tell us about?
I do. I'm working on something that's really exciting, but I'm not allowed to say anything. So
Well, we're going to
Do you have social or anything?
yeah.
Do you have any like social handles or anything that we could check out so that we can stay in the know when you can say something?
Sure. I'm on Instagram, and I'm sorry, you'll end up seeing a lot of just photos of my kids because Sarah Megan Thomas, and Twitter is at Sarah Megan T.
And Ileana, would you like to ask Sarah just a few questions so we can get to know her a little better?
Yeah, since we're pressed for time, let's just call this the little lightning round. The questions are going to be quick, and you can just give us one-word answers or a couple of words. So the first one is, how do you de-stress? Which I think we already kind of touched on because of the running and yoga and this. But is there anything else?
Get outside, get some fresh air.
Get outside, get fresh air. Top 3 movies of all time.
This is easy. Casablanca.
Yes.
Life is Beautiful.
Oh.
And Dead Poet Society.
Yes, beautiful. Last show that you binged.
Oh, Queen's Gambit.
Oh, love it. And then the last one. What was your last cheat meal or guilty pleasure?
Last night, my husband took me to an outdoor dinner at an Italian restaurant, and we ate a lot of homemade pasta and drank a lot of red wine, and it was bad. It was bad.
It was so bad. It was good.
It was carbs, and like, yeah, lots and lots of carbs, no vegetables, nothing healthy.
You gotta live, and life is, you have to have carbs in life. Otherwise, it's just not fun.
I 100% agree. It's important to have a cheat day every week, like complete cheat.
Yes. Yeah. I thought you said cheesesteak, and I know you're from Philly. So I was like, oh, she has those cheesesteaks.
So actually, I don't eat cheesesteaks because I don't love meat, but I eat one cheesesteak, and this is going to sound super snooty, but it's true. There's a place in Philly called Barclay Prime that has it's an upscale fish, etc. And they have this fancy cheesesteak that is not cheesesteak, and it's on like a fresh bun with like truffle sauce. And anyway, so if you want a luxury cheesesteak, that's the one to go to.
You had me at truffle sauce.
Yeah.
Wait, they serve it with a half a bottle of champagne. I forgot that part.
That's worth the trip to Philly for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Also, I'd like to ask all of our guests if they have a charity that they would like to give a shout out to. Sarah, I know you have one.
Yeah, Ukrainian Red Cross, or there's a lot of great charities for the Ukraine right now.
Yes. Yep. They need our help. We can't even get into that, but so many Red Cross, World Food Kitchen. There's a lot of efforts going to help the people. And I heard that these efforts, all this money that we're sending over, is making a difference in the lives of the people that are there. So thank you for that, Sarah. So Sarah, I would like to thank you for joining us today. And I want to tell everyone, please see Sarah's movies. They are wonderful. Backwards is a wonderful story. I know some rowers that absolutely loved it. Equity, female investment bankers, but really anyone will appreciate the story because it's intricate. It has some great people in it. And A Call to Spy, absolutely, female power. Females did so much during World War II. My dad was in World War II. Sarah knows that. That's why my heart was in this movie. And you just have to see it because there were women behind the scenes that were doing so much for the cause. So thank you for making that movie, Sarah. And please come back because I know you're working on something, and then you'll have to tell us about that when you can. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Sarah.
Thanks for having me. And just a quick shout out to you, Suzanne, because you really support women and are an amazing co-producer, supporter of film, human being.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. So that's it, everyone. Every day, as I always say, find some joy, give some joy. Thanks for joining us today.
Wake up with a smile.